Hello all, we'll be doing design of plinth beam today. Yesterday we have seen basics for design of beam. I have considered first a simply supported beam, and that to a plinth beam as an example. Because when you are going to start with your project work, first what we have to do is design of plinth beam. The difference in plinth beam and floor beam is load considerations that we will see at time of load calculations. So herein what I have considered is a plinth beam which is having 230 mm thick brick masonry wall, 3 meter height. Directly effective span is given of 3.8 meter, and unit weight of brick masonry is 18 kilonewton per meter cube. We have to use M20 and mild steel. Mild steel means it has a grade Fe 250. Now let us start with the solution. What is our given data? Effective span L 3.8 meter. If effective span is not given, clear span is given. Now we are knowing the classes for simply supported beam, continuous beam, and referring to IS code, we have to find out its effective span. Here indirectly effective span is given. Wall thickness 230 mm, wall height 3 meter, unit weight of masonry is 18 kilonewton per meter cube. Now to start with, for given grade of concrete and grade of steel, first we have to identify design constants. I hope you all remember design constants. Fine. So for M20, FCK is 20 Newton per mm square. For mild steel, that is Fe 250, Fy is 250 Newton per mm square. We'll require neutral axis constant, which is Ku max, directly based on grade of steel. The value is given in IS 456 page number 70. So for Fe 250, that is Fy 250 Newton per mm square, Ku max is 0.53. Then moment of resistance constant, Ru max. So this is basically moment of resistance we are going to calculate based on Cu into Zu, and for that we are having Ru max as 0.36 FCK, Ku max 1 minus 0.42 Ku max. I hope these values are there available with you in tabular form, but just a revision, I have mentioned this equation over here. It is 2.97 Newton per mm square. Now we are having we'll be doing load calculations. Now first we will find out trial depth. At time of design of slab, we know we have calculated trial depth based on control of deflection. Now if it is a simply supported beam and based on control of deflection, L by D should be equal to 20. But when we calculate and this value is a minimum value of D. But when we calculate value of effective depth based on bending, the value may be more than this. Hence, in case of design of beams for preliminary sizing, D is supposed to be kept equal to L by 15. So based on this L by 15, initial or trial value of D, we are going to consider effective depth D, we are going to consider it as 253 mm. It is 3800 by 15. Based on this, we will consider total depth, that is our overall depth, that is including effective cover. It will be 300 mm. Afterwards we are going to find out actual effective cover. Width of beam, we are going to keep it same as width of wall, that is 230 mm. Now to calculate load on beam, as we are knowing we are designing plinth beam, so it is subjected to only wall load and self weight of beam. What is not there in this? It is the slab load. Why? Because it is a plinth beam and plinth beams are not supposed to support, or there is no slab over there. So we are not going to consider slab load, only wall load In wall load, we are going to consider this. Unit weight is given 18 kilonewton per meter cube. Thickness of wall into height of wall. So we will be getting this as uniformly distributed load in kilonewton per running meter. It is 12.42. Self weight of beam, it is density of concrete 25 kilonewton per meter cube, width of beam and depth of beam. As we are not having slab over here, whatever is the depth of beam we have calculated, same depth we are going to consider as depth of beam. If it is a slab we are having, then we have to consider it as a flanged section, and then for self weight of beam we have to consider only depth of rib. Of course that we are going to see when we are going to design a floor beam. In this way we are having total working load as 14.145 kilonewton per running meter. We have to convert this into ultimate or factored load by multiplying a factor of safety of 1.5, and this factor of safety it is given in table number 18, page number 68. So this is how we got our total load. Once we know the value of load, then we have to find out moment, and based on bending moment we have to check depth of a section. So since this is a simply supported beam, we are going to calculate ultimate moment as simple equation WU L square by 8, and by this we will be getting its value as 38.30 kilonewton meter. Now we have to check for depth, and this is based on moment of resistance concept. Moment of resistance is equals to, now basically it is Cu into Zu, but since we have converted this into design constant, so mu limited is equals to Ru max Bd square. Just rearranging this equation, we will be getting D required is equals to under root of mu by Ru max into B. So based on this we will be getting our D required is 237. If you remember, we have considered our total depth, that is overall depth, as 300 mm. What we are getting, a required effective depth over here is 237 mm. Let us calculate effective cover. Assuming 16 mm diameter bar, clear cover for mild exposure condition, and referring to the table number 16 of IS 456. Herein we have to calculate effective cover as equals to clear cover plus diameter of stirrup plus half of the diameter of the bar. Now why we are going to consider this diameter of stirrup? We know what is stirrup. So you can see over here at bottom, if I am going to consider for AST, a line is indicating over there it is a stirrup. So we have to, when we have to find out effective depth, we have to consider it as a clear cover plus diameter of stirrup plus half of the diameter of the bar. So based on this we are having effective cover as 34 mm. Now when we have considered total depth and we got our effective cover as 34 mm, D effective depth provided is 266 mm, and now what we got D required, that is effective depth required, is 237 mm. So what D provided based on trial depth 266 mm, it is greater than what is required, so it is safe. Once we have checked with the depth, we have now to calculate tension reinforcement, that is main steel, which we are going, since this is a simply supported beam, we are going to provide tension reinforcement at bottom. This value of main steel we are going to find out using basic equation mu is equals to Tu into Z, since this is a rectangular, that too singly reinforced section. So mu is equals to Tu into Z. If you don't remember this, you can refer to G 1.1b. It is annexure G 1.1b of IS 456, and from that equation also you can find out this AST, or you have to remember basic equation of AST. I hope now as you finished with the design of slab, you remember this equation of AST. AST is equals to 0.5 FCK by Fy into 1 minus under root of 1 minus 4.6 mu by FCK BD square B into D. Using this, here into note value of mu we have to write in terms of Newton mm. The value which we have calculated it as 38.30 kilonewton meter. So in Newton mm it is 38.30 into 10 raised to 6 Newton mm. Putting that value, we will be getting AST at 790 mm square. We have to check this value with AST minimum. So for beam, minimum AST as mentioned by clause 26.5.1.1a, page number 47, it is 0.85 BD by FY. This value comes out to be 208.012. This is minimum steel. And the steel which we require, it is 790. So minimum steel is less than 790 mm square. So we are going to provide this 790 mm square. If reverse will be the case, means what, AST which we have calculated, if it is less than minimum AST, so we have to provide at least this minimum AST. Here in this case, we are getting AST more than minimum AST. So provide this 790 mm square. Now we have already identified diameter of bar. For 16 mm diameter bar, for 790 mm square, we require 4 number of bars. And for this, the area provided for 4 bars for 16 mm diameter, it is 804 mm square. Herein we have finished with our design for flexure. What is design for flexure? Wherein we have considered design based on bending moment and area of steel based on bending of the member. Now we have to next is the design for shear. In case of design for shear, first we are going to calculate maximum shear force at support. Since this is a simply supported beam, it is WUL by 2. We will be getting this as 40.32 kilonewton. We have calculated already area of steel provided for 4 bars of 16 mm diameter. It is 804 mm square. Now, I hope you remember the basic concept of shear designing. In clause 40.1, nominal shear stress is given, which is tau V is equals to VU by BD. I have just rearranged this equation as VU is equals to tau V into BD. So this is what is our, I can say, nominal shear force. Now what we have to do? We have to check shear resistance capacity of the section. It should be more than VU max, which we have calculated as 40.32 kilonewton. Now shear resistance of the section provided means what? In that section we are having two material. One is concrete, other is steel. So we are first going to check shear resistance of concrete. If shear resistance of concrete is not sufficient, we will include steel. We will calculate shear resistance of steel also. Here in this case, let us first calculate shear resistance of concrete or shear resisted by concrete. For this we have to refer to, we first have to find out the value of tau UC. Now I have just written equation over here, shear resisted by concrete as VUC is equals to tau UC into BD. Tau UC is the shear strength of concrete and this is given in table number 19, page number 73, for which we require first the value of percentage of steel provided. As we know, steel provided is 804, percentage of steel is 100 AST by BD. So 100 AST by BD and grade of concrete we are having as M20. So for percentage of steel 100 AST by BD, it comes out to be 1.3%, and for M20, interpolating the values, tau UC we will be getting as 0.68 Newton per mm square. Based on this, we are going to calculate VUC. This VUC is equals to 0.68 into 230 into 266. What is this VUC? It is tau UC BD. Why it is divided by 1000? Because I want the value in kilonewton. So this comes out to be 41.6 kilonewton, and this value is quite slightly greater than 40.32 kilonewton. So this is actually safe. But in case of beams, we need to provide minimum shear reinforcement in terms of minimum stirrups. Stirrups we need to provide in case of beams, which are the function of stirrup is to resist shear. Additionally, how much is now the shear resistance available due to stirrup, that we are going to calculate. But before that, just I would like to mention that shear resistance by minimum stirrup is equals to 0.4 BD. I am reading the last line over here. But how do we are getting this value? So we are having shear resistance of minimum stirrups. This is as per clause 86. Clause 26.5.1.6. You can see it is over here 26.5.1.6. What is this? It is ASV minimum is equals to 0.4 divided by 0.87 FYB into SV. Now this shear resistance of minimum stirrups which we are having, this is from clause 40.4. What is this? VUS is equals to 0.87 FY ASV D by SV. I am just putting the value of ASV from minimum shear stirrup criteria, that is 26.5.1.6, and thus we will be getting VUS is equals to 0.4 BD. Now we understand that minimum shear resistance of minimum stirrups VUSV is equals to VUSV minimum is equals to 0.4 BD. So I am going to calculate this. Now we will be calculating combined shear resistance available. Combined means what we are going to combine? Shear resistance of concrete with shear resistance of minimum stirrups. So this comes out to be 66.07 kilonewton, and definitely now this value is substantially more than 40.32 kilonewton, which is okay, which is safe. Now herein we are going to use two-legged stirrups. Now what is this two-legged stirrups? You can see over here in this diagram, the stirrup provided is in rectangular form as the shape of cross section goes. We are having, if I am going to cut this stirrup bisecting depth of a section, that is bisecting 300 mm depth of a section, it cuts into two legs. So this is how we are going to call it as a two-legged stirrups. So let us consider that we are going to provide 6 mm diameter two-legged stirrup. Now we have to find out spacing of the stirrup. Well, how do we calculate spacing of the stirrup? So this is as per clause 26.5.1.6, that is for the minimum stirrups. SV is equals to 0.87 FY ASV in divided by 0.4 B. From this equation we will be getting SV is equals to 132 mm. But code is giving further true criteria. This SV should be less than 0.75 D or it should be less than 300 mm. And amongst all these three values we have to consider minimum value. So amongst these three values minimum is 130 mm. It is actually 132 mm but round up as 130 mm. So we are going to provide 6 mm diameter bars, 130 mm center to center. So this is what we finished with our design for shear. Now what we have to check is for the serviceability requirement. This is design for flexure and design for shear is limit state of collapse. Now we are going to check for the limit state of serviceability, that is first check for deflection. We know the depth which we are supposed to calculate, it is based on control of deflection, and for which L by D ratio is 20 for simply supported beam. So we are going to calculate this 3800 by 266 L by D ratio, which comes out to be 14.29 and it is less than 20. So it is safe based on control of deflection criteria. Now we have to check for development length. We know what is development length. So I am not going to explain in detail about development length. Just to in short mention, this development length is to take care of bond stresses developed at the contact of reinforcing bar and concrete. Now the code says clause 26.2.1 page 42, LD should be equal to 0.87 FY into phi divided by 4 tau BD. And at the same time it suggests that as per clause 26.2.3.3 C page number 44, this LD which we have calculated, it should be less than 1.3 M1 by V plus L0. Now first we are going to calculate this LD 0.87 FY phi by 4 tau BD. This tau BD is a bond stress because we are checking bond. So we are to calculate bond resistance. So this bond stress is tau BD 1.2, which is given in table. 26.2.1.1. So this LD we will be getting at 724.8 mm. Now we will calculate this m1 by v plus L0. Actually this equation is only m1 by v plus L0, but there is a note below in the clause that we have to increase this m1 by 30%. So it is multiplied by 1.3. So m1, which is moment of resistance of the section, and which we have already calculated it as 38.3 kilonewton meter. V is equals to, V is the shear force, it is 40.32 kilonewton. L0 we are considering mild steel reinforcing bar and 180 degree bend. So L0 is the anchorage of the reinforcing bar beyond center of the support. So BS is the support width, half of the support distance is BS by 2 minus x1. X1 is the cover which we are going to consider over there, plus 13 phi. So this L0 comes out to be 273. Now in addition to this, again clause 8 suggesting that clause 26.2.3.3c that we have to consider this L0 as D, effective depth 266, L0 is equals to 12 phi 192 mm, and amongst these three values whichever is greater, that we have to. So amongst these three values whichever is greater, that we have to consider it as L0. So in this way we will be getting our L0. You can see I am putting all the values over here, and L0 comes out to be 273 mm because we have considered greater of the 3. Based on this, now we are going to calculate 1.3 m1 by v plus L0, and this value comes out to be 1507.87 mm. So ultimately you can see what we are having now. We have to compare this value with LD, which we have already calculated, and this LD is 724.8 mm, which is less than 15.07.87 mm, which is our requirement. Fine. In this way, now we are having this as our final summary of the design. This is cross section. What you can see in cross section, at tension side, means at bottom, we are having 4 bars 16 mm diameter. This inside rectangle, it is a stirrup, and herein you can see at top 2 bars of 8 mm diameter are provided. See, these bars are not at all taking any or resisting any kind of load. These bars, these 2 top bars, are just to facilitate stirrups in position, because we want to maintain this rectangular shape of stirrup. Sometimes it may happen that with top bars and bottom bars one can misunderstand whether it is a doubly reinforced section, but this is not. It is a singly reinforced section only. These 2 top bars are called as anchor bars, and this internal rectangle, it is a stirrup which we have provided at 6 mm diameter at 130 mm center to center. You can see now this is what in longitudinal section. So this is what is the stirrup. Vertical lines are stirrups, horizontal lines bottom bars, and horizontal line top anchor bars. Over support top surface we definitely have to provide, because code is suggesting that 1/3 of the main reinforcement we need to provide at top. Herein bent up bars are not required or not considered or not provided, not even bottom bars are curtailed. Fine. So this is what in all is the design of plinth beam. Okay, then now after this we are going to have design of continuous beam. Now for today, task for you is, for your project work, for your project plan, you identify plinth beams, simply supported plinth beams, you analyze that beam, means load calculation and moment on it, and design that beam. Tomorrow we are going to see design of continuous beam. One more thing I would like to mention, even for floor beams also you can identify your simply supported beam. Refer this design for that simply supported beam also. Only what you have to do is you have to add slab load in floor beams. Rest of the procedure will remain same. Fine then. Bye bye.